All right, and we possibly are live. Let me quickly pull up my computer so that way I can actually have this up. There we go. All right. So yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome Gara of the Desert. Glad you can make it. Thank you for joining us. Let me go ahead and share the stream really quickly. I'm assuming this. Oh wait, no, this is. Yay! It's showing public information or something. Wait, what? No, no, it is showing my public information. I don't think it actually showed anything bad. Yeah, it just shared basically its name and the stream URL, which I'm pretty sure is just the thing where I can basically just plug that into. No, no. I guess you don't have my stream key, so you can't do anything. Okay, it's not that big of a deal. I'm glad that it. Great, great. I'm glad that it shared that, but like, you guys can't see the stream key, so that's fine. What a wonderful way to start off the stream. Anyway, welcome to the stream, Gara, Blazkol, Lucky Diamond, and Sylvatic. Glad you can make it. Thank you for joining us. So what I'm going to be doing today, first of all, let me share the stream on Discord really quickly. There we go. Why is it using that as a thumbnail? That's stupid. No, it does have the right thumbnail. If you donate $1, I will be happy. That will be pretty epic. Wait, before you do though, let me first of all, let me close this down. Second of all, let me go ahead and turn this back on. And then let me go ahead and add in a alert box. So now if you actually donate, it will actually pop up here. Anyway, let's hop right into the tier list. So last time I started this tier list where I go ahead and basically I'm trying to choose how good a challenge is. Now, this is different from the year before where I actually had like a whole bunch of sliders like how difficult is a challenge, how, fun is a challenge, and went ahead and had a bunch of categories. So yeah, this year I'm gonna go ahead and put everything on a Tesseract. I'm kidding, of course. Also, welcome to the stream, Cyber Kirby, D-Land, and Hallowizer. Glad you could make it. Thank you for joining us. No, the screen is not supposed to be black, but well, it was before because private info. YouTube likes sharing it. Now, the first thing I'm going to do here for all of these, I think something that's fitting is I'm going to move the um, Mario 3D World Escort mission down to a plus. In my opinion, it's a good challenge, but compared to what we've done this year, it's a relatively weak challenge, but it's not bad. It still has some interesting parts, so I don't think there's not really anything negative I could say about it. So I feel good about putting it in A+. Mario Odyssey without water, that fits, and so does um, 3D World Pacifist, as well as Mario Galaxy Jumpless. I think all of those, more like tier list or tier list. But yeah, I feel like these all fit. I think this is still how I feel for the most part, besides 3D World Escort Mission. So yeah, let's start judging the new challenges that I've done. Starting off with Mario Galaxy 2 without power-ups, or not that. Mario Galaxy 2 without defeating enemies. Can I post a Discord? The Discord is in my About page. It's a waste of money. Okay, understandable. So, Mario Galaxy 2 without power-ups. That was or not without power-ups. Why do I keep saying that? But without defeating enemies was actually a pretty interesting challenge. I had to clip through the floor in Throwback Galaxy. We had Crab Skip, which was definitely fun. We had a whole bunch of um, touchless. No, no, this is just without defeating enemies. So it had a lot less stuff in it, but I did go for 100%. I definitely can't put it in S tier simply because I did have to use tasks for the final level. If I was just going for any percent, I might put it in A plus. I feel like that's where it belongs because there was a lot of cool stuff in it, especially like I still remember the speed run where you have to go ahead, or the speed run for Bowser's Castle for the post game, where I had to go ahead and actually learn how to infinite flutter. It definitely has a lot of memorable parts, which is kind of surprising considering what it is. Like, just the Chimps challenge still brings back memories. The true power-ups are the enemies that we killed along the way. Yeah, we did kill a lot of enemies. Also, I'll talk about why my commentary is going to be probably pretty bad over the stream once we get down to this wonderful challenge, New Super Mario Bros. Wii without power-ups and without jumping. Because, oh boy, I have a reason for being tired. But first, we have Paper Mario Color Splash without power-ups. Excuse me. Allergies suck. Um, this challenge, in my opinion, it wasn't hard at all. If I was to go ahead and do some more episodes of The Games Must Go On, I would honestly break it into two separate types of challenges. Normal challenges and mini challenges. Just the challenges that are like, yeah, they're challenges. They're harder from the base game, but like, there's not really that much to them. There's stuff that I could have done the first year, and I definitely feel like this um, Paper Mario Color Splash without power-ups fits in that. But because I made it into a full episode of The Games Must Go On, and I treated it as a normal challenge, and honestly, yeah, I think it belongs in C tier. I wouldn't put it in D tier because, yeah, it is still harder, like it's not an easy challenge. Yeah, it's a pretty easy challenge actually. But yeah, since it's a pretty easy challenge, and there are a couple of spots that come to mind where it was actually kind of tricky, like in the Golden Coliseum and in the final Bowser fight. Those were actually kind of difficult. Not to mention you get called a war criminal in the Golden Coliseum, which is like, how is that not great? So I wouldn't put it in D or F tier. But because there's not much to it besides a lot of semantics, like I know I spent like hours just trying to say, okay, when you're in a sacred forest, you can use the invincibility star because when you use the invincibility star and you don't kill enough enemies, technically you didn't affect the state, which means technically you didn't really use the invincibility star, did you? And just there was a lot of semantics like that, and that was like half of the problems in this run, not actual like difficult parts, and because of that, I can't really rank it any higher than C tier. Yeah, they're challenges, but they don't give us a challenge. Remember, I'm the guy who just spent 52 minutes talking about New Super Mario Bros. Wii without power-ups and without jumping. Oh, speaking of no jumping, though, next up is Kirby's Epic Yarn without jumping. Easy S tier. It's a shame that this challenge wasn't 100, like, it's a shame that it wasn't possible, but like 10, excuse me, I'd say probably maybe at most 10% of the levels didn't have something interesting with them. Basically everything was interesting. You had problems in basically every level, and being able to solve quite a variety of stuff actually was pretty cool. The only slight issue is since it was minimum percent, it felt slightly less, legit. Maybe I should move it down to A plus tier, but I think it still worked out pretty well. Like, though it wasn't all just, oh, quick platforming, you dead. Sometimes you could go ahead and fall from a higher place. In the Big Bean Burrito Vine, I went ahead and used the car to run into the wall in order to get height. Spoilerinos. So, like overall, there was a lot of cool stuff for the challenge. Not to mention being able to do the episode of the Games Must Go On with SeeMeCraft. It was definitely really fun, and I would definitely call it one of my best works of this year. Next up is the other challenge that I did in the 24-hour stream with Kirby's Epic Yarn. That being Super Paper Mario without a coin. Like, there were quite a few sections where this had some interesting strategies, like Free Dash 1 comes to mind, as well as like 2-1, I'm pretty sure. But most of the problems came down to, oh, there's an enemy. You gotta get lucky. You gotta get lucky and not have a coin drop. And that made the challenge really annoying in a lot of locations. I think I'm gonna give it a B minus. Yeah. Simply because, like, it wasn't a bad run. There was a lot of interesting things, but just because so much of it was RNG, I can't really put it any higher than that. However, I would say that it was also it did have the problem of not even really being successful because it ended with how I expected it to end, where I still had to get 110 coins in order to buy something at a shop. I had to buy the toilet paper and I had to buy the chocolate bar. Yo, welcome to the stream, Derpy Sheep. Glad you can make it. Thank you for joining us. This is just a small little yearly review on what I've been doing in the tier list of what I've been doing of all the games must go on. And the reason my commentary sucks, well, I'll get into that. Next up, though, is Bowser's Fury without water. This is an easy S tier. Now, if I had just left off a challenge at just trying to beat the game, defeat Bowser and then ending off the video there, I probably would put it in like A tier. However, because I went ahead and tackled all of the other missions, it got a whole lot more interesting and a lot more challenging, especially with things like the Plessy coins, where you actually have to drag Bowser Jr. out into the middle of the ocean. Yeah, imagine good RNG. Am I right? But yeah, it was overall a really fun challenge. There was a lot of cool little secrets. And I don't remember it being all too tedious because I was able to beat it in like 30 runs or whatever. I don't remember how many runs I had to do of that game. Then again, most of them only took like an hour, so it wasn't that bad. I did get pretty good at the game, and it's just a just a ridiculous concept in general. Yes, get the McDonald's Happy Meal box stapled to your forehead. No excuses. Your commentary should be great. I'm sure you've gotten lots and lots of sleep since the new Super Mario Bros. Wii challenge. Yes, yes, most certainly. We'll get to that though. But next up is Super Mario 3D World without, not without, Super Mario 3D World Genocide Mission, the sort of revenge for the pacifist mission. I'm gonna put this in A. Now I would put it higher, except for one reason. That being, in this challenge, I had to use multiplayer. The Fort Fire Bros. The Fort Fire Boys, if you will. Yo, welcome to the stream, Georgie Bear. Glad you can make it. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, the challenge itself was actually pretty fun in a lot of places. There was a lot of interesting segments, but at the same time, there was a lot of segments where I just had to be looking for, oh, well, what if there's a hidden money bag here? Not to mention, because I had to drag other people into it with the Faster Fort Fire Boys, I feel like that makes it worse. And on the other hand, if you say, well, I didn't really do that, I instead used tasks a bunch, that doesn't really fix the problem, since TAS is normally a bad thing in my books. New Super Mario Bros. We took like 53 minutes to make. Well, we'll get there. Multiplayer is epic. Yeah, doing it like it's fun, but I just don't like wasting people's time. That's why I didn't really that's why I don't really like for the New Super Mario Bros. Wii without power-ups and without jumping. That's why I didn't like get help because I really don't want to like drag someone in and have them like I can waste 90 hours of my life on a challenge and I can feel pretty good about it because like wow, I did something. But forcing someone else to go through that ain't the way I roll. So offended and violated. There was a lot of cool stuff, but I wish I was able to do it on my own. I mean, honestly, I might be able to. I have to get advanced feat strats, control all four players at once. Uh, Next up is New Soup, or not New Soup, Mario Maker 2 without touching the ground. I'd say this is a B plus challenge. Excuse me. You know, there was a couple of hard levels, there was a bunch of strategies, but a lot of it was repetitive and like there was no real stakes to this challenge. Like it was a perfectly fine thing. There was cool parts to it, like especially Boom Boom Rager. I'm never gonna forget that level. But like on the same hand, it's just like why? It doesn't matter. Oh no, this level isn't possible. Oh well, move on to the next one. Because of how disconnected everything was, nothing felt like it mattered. And that was only exemplified by the fact that I did two challenges in one here. Because, like, okay, I did that now move on to the other version, and that version's easy. Okay, now move on. One controller per limb. Hmm. That means I need to grow another 5 limbs or something. That way I'll be able to use 2 limbs per controller. But yeah, Mario Maker 2 without ground, it was a perfectly fine challenge. There was, like I've already said, there were interesting things. And, using Luigi Assist mode the way that I did was definitely cool. but a lot of it got repetitive as well. Like the fact that so many levels were impossible because, oh no, you exited from a pipe right directly onto the ground, instant failure. That sort of stuff got old. So I don't think I can really put it any higher than B plus. And then we get to New Super Mario Bros. Wii without power-ups and without jumping. I'm gonna put this one in A minus tier. And that might sound a little weird since I just made a 53-minute video or whatever on it. Become Spider-Man. No. Now, that might sound a little weird why I'm putting it so low, because I mean, there was a lot of cool, interesting stuff in this challenge. However, looking at it from a logistical standpoint, it was very tedious. Because every time you die, you have to start from a checkpoint or back from the beginning of a level. And in levels like 8-Tower, that got so annoying. But by far the worst level was 8-Castle. Oh my gosh. Now, I said that I spent 24 hours on that level. Also, welcome. I know you're already here, Blaze Skull. But yeah. So, the thing about it was in 8-Castle, I said that I spent 24 hours on the level. That is a true statement. I've literally tallied it all out from all my footage. But I should mention that I spent probably about a third of that on the first half of the level before Bowser. And that first third is so annoying because if you're being careful, you're probably going to live, but it's going to take you like 5 minutes to get to a get to the first difficult part that I didn't even talk about because it's not really that difficult. Basically, you have to stand on a metal block, then you have to bounce up to one of the sinking bone blocks, and then you go ahead and um, bubble up another level, and then bubble up to the top. Then you fall down on a bone block, and then you get to the hard section that I talked about. But with that first section, you have like a 50% chance. I probably had like a 40% chance of failing it every time I attempted it. So every time I got there, it was just basically rolling the dice. Oh, wow, I succeeded. Now I get to go over here. And then the next one, it just felt like another probability. All right, there's a high chance that, the bubble will actually make it to me in time and I won't die to the lava. And I would say that probably succeeded about 10% of the time. So, and then from there, it was just luck if I actually, well, not luck actually. The f- I was actually kind of stupid, I'll be completely honest, with how I set up the how I practiced 8-Castle's first half because at first I didn't practice that sinking room where I have to survive on all the sinking platforms. I didn't practice that at first, and that was definitely my fault. I should have actually been learning how to do it instead of just saying, "Well, I made it after like an hour." Time to just hope I survive. That was really stupid of me, but I ended up going ahead and actually spending some decent time learning it, and after that it was pretty easy. Well, pretty easy. I learned it, and then I got back to the room once, and then I ended up just landing right next to that stupid dry bones on that higher bone platform. I got hit by it and I died and I had to start all over again. That was probably one of my most frustrating attempts because if I had just survived that, I would have been done like half an hour earlier. Then again, next up was Bowser himself, who, yeah, Bowser was fun. Not really. Like, I didn't even go into in detail into how much I tested Bowser. First of all, something I didn't mention was I actually rubber banded my controllers again. In fact, I still no, actually I don't. I thought I still had one rubber banded, but no, I took it off earlier. Don't want my one but I don't want my one button to get damaged. No, I spent 90 hours on the challenge after tallying everything up, and 24 hours were on the castle. But yeah, this level was pain because even with the run button held, while it does let you make some jumps a lot faster, Bowser is just so fast. It just doesn't feel like it's fair because it feels like he reads your every move. Anyway, and honestly, that's another reason I'm putting this in A minus tier because I had to task so many levels. It just doesn't feel like I personally took on the challenge. Well, obviously I did, and I feel accomplished. But the fact that I had to task so many levels, I had to task 4 levels in this thing. That hurts, especially since 2 of them were on the main path. Like originally, now in my notes, I actually have stuff, and not just in my notes, but in my notes and in my footage, I actually have stuff for free dash Ghost House and free dash Cannon as well as free dash 5 because originally I was gonna talk about at World Free. Oh, now here I'm actually gonna skip to World 6 by using the cannon. Originally I wasn't gonna have secret exits banned, and I just wasn't going to have tasks on the main path. And I was gonna go ahead and split off and say, okay, now if you think tasks should be allowed, you can go ahead and go to free dash 4 and use this really cool trick to go through it. And then I'll go ahead and when I get to World 5, I'll say, this is the other level where you have to use tasks, and it's why I took the cannon in World 3 specifically, because that skips this level. And then when I get back to World 6, I'll go ahead and say, okay, this is where the human portion actually reconvenes. So as long as everything is possible after this, task isn't actually necessary. However, in the end, because of 8-3 and 8-castle, tasks just ended up being needed. And I mean, even if I had avoided 8-3 with 8-7, fun fact, 8-7 is the spine coaster. Spine coaster move fast. So yeah. So another little thing that I want to mention about this. Oh, one other little thing about the castle before I move on is in the castle, I actually just to test, I actually started using super mushrooms for my inventory that I had from all the enemy blockades that I defeated, simply to like mimic if I had a checkpoint. And I honestly, and even with that, it didn't really help that much, and I still died at basically the same point that I showed in my footage as my best attempt. I made it a little bit further. I made it past the second to last wall, but not by much. So, yeah. I just wanted to bring that up because in my footage, when I actually go ahead and publish all of the footage that I have, if the video hits 100 likes, I'll go ahead and I'll have a chunk that's all done with the super mushroom. But that's just why. I just wanted to mimic if I had the checkpoint effect on, just to see would it be possible. Anyway, let me talk about why my commentary is literal garbage right now, because I feel like you guys deserve an explanation. Now, typically when I go ahead and record an episode of The Games Must Go On, I typically go ahead and take about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit more, to go ahead and record the challenge. I would say most challenges take about 20 hours if I was just to guess off the top of my head, maybe more like 30 if it's a harder run. So I'll go ahead and do that. Then I'll go ahead. That challenge will sit in my backlogs, wait for its turn to be revived for the games must go on, because I've been doing everything in order so far, besides like a couple of challenges that have just snuck ahead of everything. I'm looking at you, New Super Mario Bros. Wii without power-ups and jumping, Bowser's Fury without water, or technically with always wearing the propeller box, and Ponpoco without aliens. Those 3 challenges skipped ahead skipped ahead of everything. But after I go ahead and do that, normally I'll spend like a week or two doing commentary, or at least procrastinating to doing the commentary, because commentary is really annoying to do because tripping over your words is fun. A lot of the time when I'm recording, I'll go ahead and have a sentence out. I'll know what I want to say, and then I'll just stumble over my words, and I'll just have to keep on repeating myself. And the more I repeat myself, the more ideas that I get for the section, which ends up making me stumble more. So it can take a long time to go ahead and record the audio. So I'd say that normally takes me probably a week of procrastination of actually doing it. Then like a few days to a week of actual like recording, maybe more like 10 hours if I was to guess a total amount. And then the last part is editing. Normally, I'll go ahead and give editing it the video a few days, maybe up to a week. However, I normally procrastinate a little bit before actually editing it. Now, that's the schedule for most of my episodes of The Games Must Go On. Not this one though. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, while always without power-ups and without touching no, no, without power-ups and without jumping went like this. November 23rd, I began the challenge. Then, December 27th, I made the final task for 8 Dash Castle. I spent over a month on this challenge, 90 plus hours. So, definitely a larger challenge. Let me just put it that way. Now, that would be one thing. However, it was December 27th. I don't really have 2 weeks for commentary and 2 weeks for editing, so cram time. I went ahead and spent about 2 days, the rest of December 27th and basically the entirety of December 28th, plus a little bit of the morning in December 29th. Wait, no, I got the days mixed up. I made the final task December 28th because I spent basically 2 days making the commentary. Then I went ahead and started making the actual video, the actual edited version at like 2 o'clock yesterday on the 30th. And yeah, I edited until about 8 o'clock in the morning. I went ahead and rendered it. I did not want to fall asleep because I knew falling asleep might mean I might miss the actual video, and I needed to make sure I actually uploaded it. So I stayed up till like 9 there. It's procrastinating like SpongeBob time. Yeah. 8 hours later. But yeah, I worked till so it was 9. I uploaded the video. Then there was the problem with the trailer not showing. I don't know why the trailer wouldn't show. Like YouTube, when you're setting up a premiere, it gives you this option. Oh, set a trailer before your premiere. If you went ahead and created a trailer, you can go ahead and make it so when the people click on the video, they'll actually be sent to the trailer first, so they can watch it if the video hasn't premiered yet. So I've had this happen for a few videos where I'll go ahead and select that video's trailer. And we'll get more into the trailers in a second. However, for this one, I don't know why, but when I select add trailer, the video that I have for the teaser just doesn't come up. It just doesn't appear as an option, and it's really annoying. Hi, Mushroom. Welcome to the stream. Glad you can make it. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, I don't know what went wrong, but I went ahead and wasted time trying to figure out how to put it on. Couldn't figure it out. At about 12 o'clock, I passed out on my bed, slept for about 30 minutes, got back up, watched the entire video with you guys, found that nothing broke significantly, and yeah, I've been awake all day. So I have not really slept since like, I think I woke up at 10 a.m. yesterday. So yeah, I am, you know, a lot of people drink champagne on New Year's. because, oh yeah, you gotta get drunk. I don't need to get drunk. I can get sleep deprived. Take that, nerds. But yeah, this has been a very crazy. This has been my most compacted episode of the Games Must Go On in terms of production time. And it was a 53-minute video. That's what kills me. It would have been one thing if it was like a 20-minute video, but no, this was a 53-minute video. I had 89 strips of commentary because I break everything into little strips so I can actually edit it better. However, because I have the iPhone 13 or whatever, or iPhone 12, which doesn't have a headphone jack, when I made the audio strips in the first place, I couldn't really use my phone. So instead I'm using my computer and the voice recorder app on there. However, it doesn't really have a good way of cutting the audio strips. So that meant when I was editing the actual video, instead of just being able to plug in my audio strips, go boom, 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 put them all in, I actually had to check each one to make sure that when they connect, that there isn't just this long pause. Because think about it, when I go ahead and record, I'm saying like, all right, then I went ahead and died 5 million times to this Goomba. All right, click the stop button. Then I go ahead and try to crop it as close as I can. Then I start the next one. I'll hit the play button. Pause. Alright, now that I've gotten past that Goomba, I discover a Koopa Troopa, the absolute worst thing for this challenge. And by that I mean it's dead and it's a dry bones and it's absolutely terrible. But like that pause at the very beginning. So I had to basically make sure everything sounded right. And oh, that took so long. Now you're thinking of it. Sorry, Kirby. Sleep deprivation. It's like getting drunk without the fun. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with how the video came out. I will say some of my grammar was just kind of stupid, but like I said, making commentary is really easy for you to stumble over your words. And that was especially true of this challenge. I think I made like I reverted to primordial Waluigi Goes Wah, and I began saying thankfully repeatedly. Like, just look at the beginning of a video up to like One Dash Tower to the end of One Dash Tower, and I'm pretty sure, um, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I say thankfully like 20 times. You do all of your audio in one recording. That's what I originally did. I did that one time where I went ahead and recorded a script in a single segment, I'm pretty sure. And that was in Super Mario Galaxy without power-ups. My first challenge. I never did that again, and I am glad I never did that again. Is what color the next tier will be. Well, I guess there's another big problem though. That being, what am I actually going to do with the banner? Because now the banner's full. And honestly, that's kind of what I've been waiting for. I guess I could talk about what's coming up. So, on my website, I have all the upcoming stuff that I have. And one reason I've been procrastinating on a lot of it has been simply because I want to go ahead and wait for I wanted to wait for this banner to be complete because if new subscribers come in and they see all like one spot missing from the banner, that'll look kind of dumb, not gonna lie. But now that it's complete, now I can actually start working again on things like Redacted. I can go back to working on Tethered. I can go ahead and work on a bunch of other things that haven't been finished. However, I do need to start working on the animation for the next episode of The Games Must Go On, as that's actually going to tie into the background. Yes, I'm making Waluigi Goes Walore because why the hell not? I'm too far gone at this point, and nobody can stop me. Ugh. You know, it's been a fun year though. Overall, the challenges have been pretty intense, and doing two separate challenges other than like what I've streamed or recorded definitely wasn't smart. I'm gonna try to do mostly what I've already have next year. And I guess I can reveal what my yes, the lore. I guess I can talk about my New Year's resolution, which was um, for this year, it was ramp up production. And I feel like I succeeded at it for the first half of the year, but I feel like I started to lose. I think I started to fail at my New Year's resolution of ramping up production around halfway when I started focusing on um, 3D World Genocide, Mario Maker 2 without ground, and obviously New Super Mario Bros. Wii without the items or jumping. Well, which goes well on Netflix 2022. But yeah, those three challenges were big, and they took a really long time to make. So hope next year most of the challenges might actually be shorter, especially since I already have a lot of challenges done. But we'll have to see. I'm probably not going to do stuff that isn't recorded, and if I am going to do something that isn't recorded, I'll go ahead and record it first and actually stream it. Because I'm pretty sure being gone for like a month, that probably killed my YouTube channel, so I'll have to revive it. So yeah. I guess the next thing I want to talk about though are the animations themselves, because I actually have Waluigi goes was. My mental sanity is broken. I have been up for like 24 hours. No, I've been up for, let me think. If I don't count the 30 minutes I was asleep at noon today, I would say I've basically been awake for 36 hours. So, you know what? I don't even care anymore. If I start doing dumb things, I'll just be fine with it. But yeah, let me talk about the animations themselves. Now, I've never been an artist. I never will be. Well, I've never been an artist in the sense of being able to create art. I've been able to mimic art though, and that's been one thing that I've been learning how to do. And it all really started about, I don't even know, I think halfway through the year or something like that, when I started going ahead and making the different thumbnails. I started off with the Waluigi design for my banner. Get in touch with Steve again. 36 is when it really hits you. Screw 24-hour stream. I'm going for 48, boys. But yeah. So the so I started to learn how to mimic art this year, where I've gone ahead and I've been making the stuff in GIMP, where I've been going ahead and I made the banner, I started making the thumbnails. I went ahead and um, yeah, basically that's about it. Making the thumbnails and whatnot. I made a few icons for Bowser's Fury with the propeller box, including that really cursed image of cat head but bad. And then I really got into it with Bowser's Fury because I actually started making animations. Now, for the animations themselves, I've definitely gotten better. Yo, 96-hour stream? That's what we call radical. uh, I just had a flashback to something. That was a fun time. Anyway, so my animation started out in Bowser's Fury while wearing a propeller box. And the first animation I made, it was not good. And that's mostly because in my animation, I went ahead and I made two big mistakes. One, I didn't shade smooth on any of my objects because when I saw it in solid view, I was like, ugh. When I shade smooth, it has this weird coloring, and that looks weird. So I decided to have it shaded flat. That was a big mistake because now the bell and the basically everything looks very blocky. You can see all the edges. I mean, I guess that's literally the definition of shade flat. But because of that, it looks significantly worse. Everything looks sort of broken up. And secondly, for the fight it or not, what am I saying? Um, brain do thing. What was the other problem? Ah, yes, texturing. For texturing, I actually drew textures, and that can be seen like on the Super Bell as there's like the lines on it. That was a very big mistake. 90-hour stream for the full New Super Mario Bros. Wii Challenge. I might actually. Oh wait, no, that wouldn't even work. Let me come back to that. The 90-hour footage. So overall, though, I did learn a lot from that first trailer. I learned the basics of animation. I learned how to, make things in Blender. But I really started to experiment. Well, not even really experiment, but just start getting proficient at making objects in the second trailer for 3D World Genocide, where I actually went ahead and made like brick blocks. I had to make fence posts. I went ahead and made floorboards for the bridge. I had to make a clear pipe. I had to make ground that didn't look like absolute garbage. It still looks like absolute garbage though. Most of this was just basic modeling and just testing out the features and just seeing what works. Overall, the second trailer wasn't terrible as well, but it also had some major problems. For one, the water below doesn't really work. I essentially tried to take a flat plane and say, okay, what if I take this flat plane and rotate it and move it up and down? Maybe that'll look good. It does not look good. You can't really see it. And then I went ahead and said, well, I don't want to make a background, so I'll just put lots of fog in. And I did put lots of fog in, so now you can't see the background. And also it gives off a creepy, eerie vibe. However, it also makes it impossible to see the water that I worked on. So now I'm just sad that there is no one who can actually see the water. So that was probably one of my biggest failures, that I just used fog to cover up what I didn't do. Other than that, another big thing is I still made the textures myself for like um, the side of a hill. I went ahead and texture painted that for the actual, well, not just the side of a hill, it's not even really a hill, it's just a ground. All the ground I textured myself, and that includes the dead Koopa on the ground, which looks like absolute garbage, not gonna lie. I tried to make it look like a chalk outline, but like it's really hard to tell. And the blood that I tried to add little blood splatters. You can't really tell what it is, and it's just confusing. Not to mention that it's a Koopa in 1-1 where Koopas don't even exist. However, I used a Koopa instead of a Goomba because I don't know. Anyway, it just didn't feel right to use a Goomba. Also, then I could make the joke that Mario exterminated all of the Goombas, or all the Koopas, and that's why there aren't any in 1-1. So, but another big problem though, one thing that I didn't improve on were the shadings. Obviously, the textures were still absolute trash, but all of my objects were still very flat. Like, uh, like I did still have some depth to everything, but like the grass is literally non-existent. So, like, I just couldn't figure out how to make it. Now, for the third trailer or teaser, not much changed. However, I did add a sort of particle system. Well, actually, let me dive into the third animation. The third animation was a bunch of mushrooms with one having a block on it, where it had a giant mushroom bouncing back and forth. That was actually a relatively easy trailer to make since I had actually been learning a lot about voxel art. The mushroom itself was made from a single cube that was all extruded out to actually build the cube. The mushroom was made by first building it out of like cylinders and whatnot, and then I went ahead and voxelized it using a remesh. So I, and then the question mark block was a regular block that was then subdivided, and then pieces were taken out of it. So all the objects in that trailer were actually made differently, which in my opinion was a great learning experience on just using more tools in Blender in general. And I even used a particle system in that, as I used hair particles to make the dust particles. As what I basically said was, all right, put hair on the inside of the object, inside of a giant box. Then, at the tips of each piece of hair, go ahead and put a tiny piece of dust, and then just move the giant box. Unfortunately, that made the trailer take like 15,000 years to render, so I had to lower the quality a bunch, and I'm still kind of sad about that. It still came out decently well. However, if I was to change a few things, I would probably, for one, go ahead and make it so it instead of using one giant box for dust, I would go ahead and make a bunch of smaller boxes. Each one would unload and load when they got on and off screen. I would also go ahead and uh, actually no, I forgot to mention one thing. I did actually start learning about shading here, as I used a UV to make the mushroom platforms, as that's how I actually located where I wanted different, or at least I think it's how I did it, how I located where I wanted to put in the spots. However, definitely my best animation to use shadings was. But let me finish up with the third one. Well, obviously the best one was the one I just made for New Super Mario Bros. Wii. But I don't really see anything else to fix with the third animation, as the voxelized style I think really works. I guess one thing I could have done is I could have added a displacement modifier or a displacement shader to the mushroom platforms and made it so whenever you had a red spot, I could have gone ahead and made it so it popped out a little bit, sort of like how the not a bulbmin, a bull bear or a bulborb, how the spots on a bulborb sort of stick out, or something like that. As it is, it's still kind of a flat animation. However, then we get to New Super Mario Bros. Wii, no items, no jumping. That teaser was very much improved. I added grass, I added a but like I added grass for one, which made the grass stand out, but there was so many new techniques here. For one, the ground is actually made out of metaballs, which are essentially like imagine water. When you put two water particles together, they sort of blend together, they stick together. That's what basically metaballs do. If they get close enough, they essentially bridge together, which makes really natural looking curves. So I used that to make the original ground. After that, I went ahead and another major thing that I did was um, I learned how to use the shading tab significantly more. And I truthfully abused the hell out of the shading tab. For one, I learned how to use UVs in order to mark where grass was and wasn't on like the rolling hill. And then for a rolling hill in particular, not just the sides of it that are stationary, but the part that's actually rolling, I went ahead and made this huge ass algorithm. And that's the only way I can describe it because it's like 20 nodes long, just trying to figure out how to turn lines or bands into actual like um, rotation. So basically it goes ahead and breaks apart. Okay, you're here on the circle. Okay, now go ahead and take your vector and move it this far out because you are here. And it does that for every point, and it creates that really cool weight V line effect. I am really proud of that. And similar, that actually works really similarly to the giant hills in the background. I went ahead and used a shading tab at first to actually make some really detailed models for the question mark blocks, coins, and brick blocks, which I think those came out really well. And I learned about like sheen, reflections, and all of that fun stuff. On basically everything, I have really small normal maps to make everything have a sort of gritty texture. I think my obsession with adding normal maps all started when one day when I looked at an egg. Because, like, an egg in my eyes is smooth. You can pick up an egg, you can cherish the egg, you can yeet the egg at, I don't know, a place where you yeet eggs. But, like, when you think of an egg, you think smooth. But it actually has little bumps in its surface. And that seeing that made me think, I really should do that to my objects to make them more realistic. So if you zoom in on basically any object in the entire trailer, it'll have that sort of grittiness effect. Except the grass, I didn't do it for the grass. Then again, for the grass, I have, grass, which sort of does that for me. Also, another cool thing is the bushes. Fun fact, while, they look like bushes, obviously, because they're bushes, they aren't actually bushes. I didn't actually make a shape for them. Like you would think that I actually like sculpted them out for how they look, but I actually went ahead and used a noise texture and basically by doing a whole bunch of math calculations, it actually uses a displacement to push the bushes out from a rectangle. It's a really cool technique and so yeah, for the model itself, in terms of geometry, it's literally just a rectangle. But when it renders, it becomes an actual bush, and I'm really surprised of how well it worked. However, the trailer isn't perfect. For one, I wanted to have it actually be like where Mario was running around. He goes ahead and jumps up, hits a block, a propeller mushroom falls out of it, hits him on the head. He falls, and because it hits him on the head, he falls down, hits his head on the ground, passes out. When he comes to, he tries to jump up, and a chain chomp stuck to him, hence why he can't jump. And then he goes ahead and zooms in on his face or something, and it says, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't move anywhere," or something like that. But none of that really could come to fruition, and I just went ahead and made a nice scenic view. It's kind of a sad thing that I wasn't able to get to that, but then again, I would have had to actually download something from Models Resource, and I'm happy that at least these first few trailers that are in this series of The Games Must Go On are completely 100% handmade by me. However, the only other issue that I really have with this is the castle. I'd say the castle looks good as long as you look at it far away, and all the individual parts look decent. However, once you look closer, if you like look at where the roof meets the castle, the bricks sort of blend together with the tiles, and that's because they're the same thing. The castle's it because